Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven, Unscripted Success podcast. We have another great guest on today. We have Patrick Bishop. Patrick is part of a company called Reroute Americas. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
I'm doing great. I see you're in sunny Florida as well.
Yes.
Awesome. So why don't you kick things off and tell us what you do and how you got into what you're doing?
Certainly. So we're a wholesaler and distributor of sustainable packaging and disposables for the food and beverage space. We service sports stadiums, hotels, resorts, individual restaurants. All of our products contain one component of sustainability, which is they're either recyclable, they're compostable, or they're biodegradable. So if you've ever gone to a stadium and you gotten a hot dog, the tray that it comes in, we supply that. The trash liners that you throw your trash out in, we supply that. The cups that you drink your beer, most of the time a sports event, right? We supply those. So we carry over 700 different items now. We started in June of 2021. I happened to be COVID was kind of ending. The world was starting to open back up, and I went on a trip and I found these agave straws. I never heard of them before. It was out in California, and they were unique. Like, they stood out. They felt and looked like plastic, but they weren't. They kind of had a different texture, but they certainly were paper straws. Paper straws is just something that I don't know anybody that enjoys them. No. So I tracked down the manufacturer. It was two young gentlemen out of Mexico that started this company. And they were taking basically tequila plants after they were cooked and fermented for tequila. Normally it would get composted and thrown back into the tequila field. So what they took are these strands and they mixed them with a polymer to develop straws. And then they later developed cutlery. So kind of just bought a truck sight unseen, then realized what I kind of did, saying, okay, I guess we're getting into the F&B industry. I went to one of my good friends, Dave Doran, and him and his father, and then myself and my wife, we sold our house, and then they invested in, and that was the beginning of the company. We've raised $6 million since 2021. We're on a Series A raise right now on institutional investment. We're throughout the entire state of Florida. We just opened Las Vegas. We have sports partnerships with Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Orlando Magic, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Minnesota Twins. We're negotiating with about 23 other teams right now as their official sustainable partner. And that allows us to bring all of our products into the stadium for everyone to use. But what really separates us now is new technology we came out with. It's called a artificial intelligence inventory management system. And that does three things. The first thing it does, it plugs in to your reservation system or to your ticketing system to get real-time occupancy or ticket sales. It'll look at your past order history, and then you appreciate being in Florida. It'll also look at the weather. And what it does is predicts what your weekly order should be for that week. It sends it to purchasing. They can either hit submit, they can add, edit. They hit submit. We then fulfill that order within 24 hours. The second part that it does is once you place your order, it'll give you a real-time dashboard we call a sustainability scoreboard about what percentage of your order actually meets sustainability guidelines. And then we give that data directly to the clients that they can use it for their own sales and marketing. They also can report back to their corporate, like for instance, a Marriott or Hilton have sustainability standards, so they can pass back that information saying, hey, listen, 87% of our ordering in F&B meets sustainability guidelines. And the third is a virtual warehouse. And the virtual warehouse keeps real-time data of once we do a delivery, say, of 20 cups, anytime you open up that box, it breaks the UHF receiver that's in that box, automatically alerts the virtual warehouse that you've taken one product off the shelf. The idea behind this whole thing is to reduce overspending by 20 to 30%. One of the biggest things we see in food and beverage is that if the product stays on the shelf longer than a week, you're losing money on it. So we're trying to trim that fat, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was in the food and beverage industry for a very long time, and I get the waste. I mean, there's so much wasted. So pretty impressive that you've figured out a system with the AI on that. And I mean, even to the point where it's predicting the weather to know at these sporting events if what they're going to need,
Well, we've been past proof of concept, but one of the things that we looked at. So, for instance, here in Orlando, you had Post Malone about 2 weeks ago, and so the ticket sales were great, but there was a huge storm coming through during the night of the concert. Now it's funny, you would sit there and say, "Oh, is that going to affect ticket sales?" I said, "No, it actually increases F&B consumption because they're not in the seats; they're in stay in shelter, so they're at the concession stands. So they had to order more for that particular event, which they normally wouldn't have. They probably would have ran out, or they would have had to gone to some type of backup system. Our warehouse is down the street, but we were able to get that real time data that Tuesday morning and fulfill that order on Tuesday afternoon.
That's
right
impressive.
now, we haven't been able to find someone to do that."
Got it. So let me ask you, so what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Capital, really. I mean, it's because we warehouse and we distribute the product directly. We've got to buy it and we've got to bring it in. And as you quickly expand, it's a big volume. So it's really capital has been our only obstacle towards growth.
Got it. So what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
I would say probably focus and determination. You've got to be able to, especially when you're a lean company like us, you got to be able to multitask. But out of all your multitasks, you also have to make sure they get done.
Sure.
And sometimes it's very easy to get distracted. A client calls you, the wrong box came in, or hey, I forgot to order this. Can we get that? We pride ourselves on our customer service, but it's also setting realistic expectations that we can't be all things to all people at all times. So what are the priorities? So being focused and determined, I think, are the things that really help us kind of continue to grow.
Sure. So, staying on top in any field is tough. What's something exciting that you see in your horizon?
I'm really interested to see
industry.
where our AI inventory management system takes us, because it is scalable beyond just the food and beverage industry. It's if you put anything on a shelf or you require any type of supply, that management system can apply to your industry. So if you'd have told me 3 years ago that we would have proprietary AI technology, I would have said absolutely not. But it's necessitated in our industry. And sometimes you have to be first to market. Is there someone that can come behind us and try to do the same thing? Absolutely. But sometimes if you're first one there, that's all that matters.
Sure.
So that's where I'm really interested to see where this company goes. Are we a distribution company that does tech, or do we eventually become a tech company that happens to do distribution? And I think that's kind of the way that it looks like we're going.
That's what it sounds like, more or less. And I would think that could also be used in retail with
Sure.
inventory. And tracking that, I mean, I'm sure having certain items, sitting back there and not moving. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big investment in clothing or whatnot.
Well, yeah, like I said, we've beta tested it with a couple of clients, and it's going to save them 20 to 30% per year, and that's significant. When your paper packaging budget is $700,000 a year, and you're saving $150,000, that's significant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely is. So I'm sure leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? Can you give us an example of how it helped you get through a tough spot?
Well, I'm a type A person. I'm kind of driven. But the one thing I would say about myself is I don't ask anybody in the company to do something that I haven't done. So I'll drive the trucks on the weekend. I'll do the deliveries. I'll do the inventory. I'll wrap the deliveries. I'll do the ordering. I'll go to the expos. I'll go to the shows. I will stand out and sell. So I've done everything in this company, and I'll never stop that. I think you do get some respect from your team when they see that you're out in front leading, not just telling them what to do, but you showed them what to do. And I've got 2 daughters. They're 11 and 10 years old, and they've been part of this company since day one. And their dream is to run the company someday. And I've told them, I said, you're going to start by doing, learning how to drive a truck and do deliveries. Like, really, Dad? I said,
Like,
people
yeah,
respect you when you've done what they do. So
sure.
that's kind of what my style is.
That's great. So when you're building your dream team, what's the one trait you look for and why?
Passion, and you don't have to be passionate about the environment. You don't have to be passionate about sales or goals. I think you just have to have this is something that's got to motivate you to get up every day and go to work. There's a lot of talk about, work from home, and that's not this industry. People want to see, touch, and feel the product. So you have to be out in front of everybody. But you got to be passionate about it. This is, you're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes. And so you've got to have that focus and desire that I'm willing to get up today and get 20 more no's, hoping that 21 is going to be a yes.
Sure. Yeah, keep grinding,
Mm-hmm.
more or less. So how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
Well, my management style that we talked about is I'd love surrounding people that are smarter than me in any facet. I live by the notion that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? I think if people are so fixated that they're always right and it's their way or the highway, you're going to lose people, and you're really not going to go anywhere. If you're willing to step up, and I think we do encourage our teammates to sit there and make suggestions. One of our delivery drivers here in Orlando, if he goes to a property to deliver and he sees that there's a product there that we carry, but it's not from us, he'll take a picture of it and he sends it to the sales team saying, hey, just so you know, they're taking this kind of cutlery, which we stock. So it gives, that's a teamwork.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So what's a day in your life look like, and how do you juggle work and everything else?
Oh man. So I'll give you a perfect example. So I was up at 2:30 this morning. I was in the office at 3:30. I've got a slam full of day in the afternoon with investors and stuff like that, but I'll probably be home at 6. One thing is, we used to live in Naples for 18 years. We moved up here last summer. So I do make time, especially on Sunday. We got the Florida annual pass for Disney. So we go to Disney Park every Sunday. I love taking the girls. I personally love going on the rides and having a good time, but I try to make sure as much as I can I spend time with the family. My wife's very involved in the business also. She leads our sales team, and she's very good at letting the kids know that why mom and dad are working so hard to provide for them and stuff like that. So there's a mutual understanding in the family that I maybe not can be there for everything because I do have to travel every now and then, but I try to make up for it when I can.
Sure. And I mean, and what a great way to make up for it. You've got a different amusement park to last you for years to bounce around through and explore. So that's pretty cool. The girls must love that.
Oh, they have fun. And, like I said, now it's great with Universal opening Epic. They're both competing against each other. So now Disney's opening 3 more parks. So we're going to be the beneficiaries of it.
Yeah, you guys will be busy for years to come, say the least. So has there been a book or a podcast or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
I go back to business school, and on day one, we were given The Art of War. And I think that applies a lot to business and to philosophy about how you attack your day, how you attack your opponent, how you attack sales. So that I kind of live by Sun Tzu and that book. That's probably had the most influence on me in my professional career.
That's my business partner's one of his favorite books as well. We were in South Carolina a couple months ago, and we went to a restaurant in Charleston. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but it was they converted a church into a restaurant, and the entire ceiling was the book. It was handwritten up there.
It's funny. We're going up to Charleston next month. I know exactly what restaurant you're talking about.
Okay.
We were trying to figure out the name because we've gone there too.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but it's right near where the market sheds are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We usually stay at the Charleston Hotel right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice town. It was my first time there.
Oh wow, yeah.
So how do you tackle new things, especially stuff that's way outside of your comfort zone?
I think you just have to take the risk reward factor into account with it. Is this worth my time exploring? And I'll be candid with you. Like, I started learning AI about a year ago, how to write code and stuff like that. And the opportunity presented itself. And that AI inventory management really came because we were doing manual inventory for our clients. I would be at their property and I would see that they had product they ordered 3 weeks ago still sitting there. And I said, there's got to be a better way than this. And so sat down and started writing. And then a good friend of mine is a AI architect. So I sat down with him and I said, is this possible? He said, absolutely. And I said, okay, this is above my pay grade. And so he took it on with me, and really built this thing out. I think any new product or project, like I said, the risk that we have of creating this AI thing, I don't think there's much risk in it, because the feedback we got from our clients is like, this is game changing for them. But you got to be willing to take that risk. I mean, it's a capital outlay for us. It's getting me into a different comfort zone, because AI is not something physically you can touch and smell and see. It's an added benefit that we bring to our clients, and I hope that separates us from every other distributor out there.
Sure. I mean, and it sounds like you have the advantage, having this technology and learning how to implement and make use of the AI to make it a lot more efficient. I mean, with the savings that you've mentioned, that's just, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and with you being in the middle of Disneyland, I would think that I'm sure God knows how much they're wasting,
Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, when you're in this industry, when you go out in public, you kind of witness those things. And
Sure.
so, like, we were just at Typhoon Lagoon this weekend. And the good thing is, but Disney's also a little bit better than a lot of other properties too, which is, so they'll give you a reusable cup. And the idea is, if, you get your 16-ounce beer, whatever, it's $12. And the next time you come back with that cup, it's 10, right? So they're encouraging you to reuse, which is smart. So like at Animal Kingdom, though, they use paper straws because it's actually a conservatory, so they don't want any single-use plastic that potentially can get thrown in with the animals and stuff like that. So, I think they're better than most. Stadiums waste a ton.
Wow.
We've got some stadium clients that have stuff that they bought 3 years ago, still not in use yet.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so what, it sounds like things are going well for you in your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm wondering if or how you create passive income, or if you have invested in the past.
Yeah, I've invested in startups just like people have invested in me. Some, are not going to work out. But I think you got to look at, multiple investments. And then you're hoping that one or two, are singles and doubles, but, one of those are the home run. I think you really got to invest in people rather than just the product. Like I said, I look for people that are passionate, that are focused, that are driven, that are not looking just for the quick score, that want to scale and stuff like that. And then, you're going to have your traditional, investments in 401k and IRAs and stuff like that, that you're going to look for over retirement. But, with the limited income I have that I didn't put into this business, I do look for those, kind of, who's willing to change things. And it's normally because it's not the 10th version of it. It's the first version and you haven't heard of it. I'm like, well, that's intriguing. So, what do you need? What are you looking for? And it's interesting as you get into these little angel investment networks. There's a lot of people that do that. Anywhere from 50,000, to people that write up $10 million checks. But even that $50,000 investment can pay off for you somewhere.
Sure. So, if someone out there was listening in and was looking to take a risk, and kind of like what you and your wife did, you saw an idea, decided to buy a truck without seeing it and starting this new business, what tip would you give them if they were looking to be an entrepreneur?
Failure is not an option.
Isn't that the truth?
So real world for us is we started in 2021, made our first sale in December of 2021. We were quickly expanding. We had a lot of Fort Myers Beach. We did a lot of stuff up there between the cups and the agave straws and cutlery. We were doing close to $90,000 a month. Hurricane Ian hit, and overnight, 40% of our business was gone. Yeah. And I had just sold my house, put everything in, and to have that collapse on us, we brought everyone in, and everyone's looking at you. That's your pivotal moment, which is, as a leader, what do we do here, Pat? And I told everybody, I said, you got one day to feel bad for yourself, but failure is not an option. I can't fail. I mean, there's nothing else for me to do at this point. So we pivoted. We then went to Miami, started opening up Miami. And then I sent one of my sales guys up to Orlando, and I would go up there every other week and we would sell. And, that's what kind of got us through. I mean, we're still licking our wounds from Hurricane Ian. I mean, when
Sure.
we're talking about millions of dollars in lost revenue over the last 3 years. That's not easy to pivot from. And that's part of the reason why we opened up to Las Vegas, which is here in Florida, you're very susceptible to weather.
Sure.
We had 2 hurricanes last fall that impacted us severely. Obviously, took out our Tampa Bay Rays clients. It took out the stadium. So you have to have a mindset that failure is not an option. I mean, days are going to be awful. They're going to, for lack of a better word, they're going to suck.
Yeah.
But if you literally believe you can't fail, you won't.
Right. I mean, you just got to roll with the punches and improvise
Right.
and figure out how to adjust and be creative,
Right.
So I totally understand that. Well, as we're wrapping up this interview, what plans or initiatives do you have for the next 6 to 12 months?
Continued expansion. So like I said, we're talking anywhere from the Philadelphia Eagles to the New York Mets, to the Green Bay Packers, to the Dallas Cowboys. So it's going to be expansion. We're also talking New Orleans Saints. So we want to look at the strategy for us is going to be like, those are great anchor tenants for us. What also has a big hospitality network, because that's kind of the 2 markets we really tackle, our hospitality and the sports world. So New Orleans is a natural one for us, just because of conventions and tourism and stuff like that. California is a natural market for us, just because they're very progressive when it comes to sustainability,
Yes.
right? So we already do the LA Four Seasons, the Beverly Hilton, and the Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills. So with growing Vegas, we can expand quickly into California too. But that's what you come back in a year, I'll guarantee you we're probably in 8 more cities by then.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Well, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you and wanted to learn more or wanted your services, how does one get a hold of you?
You can easily go to our website, which is www.rerouteamericas.com. You can email us at info@rerouteamericas.com, or you can call us toll free at 833-7-REROUTE, and that's REROUTE.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was really, I enjoyed learning about this. I mean, you're going to be extremely successful with this, because it's definitely needed. And I mean, gosh, there's so much waste.
Listen, I mean, I did merger and acquisitions for 13 years before I started this. So this was a new industry to me. And in just a quick amount of time, how much you learn about how much things can improve and how quickly we can just change a couple things out to move the needle to be a little better for the planet, and also for our economy too. But no, I really appreciate you reaching out and the invite and the opportunity to talk about our company.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, thanks for listening, guys. And if you want to get a hold of Patrick, go on the website or call the 800 number. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.